Watch this video to find out how we won the war with the slugs, with some of these and some of these. This week we've got an embarrassing part of our garden to show you, and we need your help to sort it out. As you can see, this weed is taller than me and there's plenty more where that came from. What we're going to do today is take up the remaining of these box hedges because they are completely dead and are not going to come back, and get rid of all these weeds which have gone absolutely wild. And we've still got some compost from our massive delivery, so that's going to be topped up in this bed, and then once we get a few ideas then we can plant some things in there.
So if you have any suggestions for perennials that require no maintenance or as little as possible, just leave them down below. I wonder if this can be composted because it's gone to seed. So we're going to keep in that bucket until somebody says no in the comments below, so we're just going to tip in a bit.
Well, that took a little bit longer than we thought it would, as things always do, but now we have a perfect blank canvas for any ideas, and we're not opposed to, moving a couple of bits around. So we'll let you have a proper look in a sec with some shots on the camera and let us know what you think. That's one job done, and now we need to go into the back garden because we've got plenty more jobs to do. We bought heaps of plants today, and we can also show you around and see how the vegetables are doing since we last showed you. Would you believe me if I've just walked from the front to the back garden? It's a completely different climate out here, and it's actually quite warm. So these are all the plants that we bought from the garden centre earlier when we said we weren't going to buy anything, including this really cute dahlia, which is absolutely stunning. And we're going to add lots of colour to the garden. If you're wondering where Danny is, just follow the cable. Oh look, he's got a new toy.
It's not plugged in, but I just found this old trimmer, grass trimmer on Marketplace for £10. I just changed the line on it, so we're going to cut the grass for the first time. Compost. Admittedly, the grass doesn't look perfect. There's a couple of brown patches on it. It's not evenly cut, but there's two major benefits to the fake grass. It feels cool to the touch and it's not hot like the fake grass, and it smells much better than the fake grass did, especially with having Ada here. Ada approves the freshly cut grass. Do you want to plant some flowers next?
Yeah, next job.
Okay.
Planting about 80 flowers. Oh, and some new seeds.
What do you want to do first? Flowers or seeds?
Flowers.
Okay.
As I said this morning, we went and raided the garden centre, so we bought a 20 pack of marigolds, 20 pack of petunias, and then some just flowers we thought were nice. And over here I've got about 30 marigolds that I've grown from seed. So the reason for all the marigolds is because we understand that they're really good for protecting the vegetables against pests, mainly slugs. And we had grown some and bought a few, but they've already been munched by slugs and snails, which I caught in the act and went straight over the fence. So I'm thinking that, 70 more flowers to protect against pests might be enough, or at least a good start to stop the slugs getting to my vegetables. And then I've got a little variety here that I grew from seed. I couldn't tell you what they are, but we're just going to chuck them in the ground and see what they do. We're going to start with this hanging basket, which I can't reach. At the moment, it's just got one very sad looking nasturtium in it. So I think we're just going to put one of everything in here to give it a bit of colour.
Whilst John is deciding where she's going to put the plants, I'm going to go ahead and top up the bird food because it's gone down in the last couple of days.
They've finally discovered where it is, I think.
Keep them going for the next week.
Yeah. Doink, doink.
Yeah.
So we've got marigolds all along the path, and I'm putting some in the beds as well. We're going to take this spinach out because it's starting to bolt, and we're going to put 2 peppers in here instead. The marigolds so far have been the best pest control we've got so far, because I've tried a few things, as one of them being this, it's actually worked quite well, beer trap.
Chug it, chug it, chug it.
No, that's going to go shortly, so that catches a few of the little slugs. But for the big ones, the marigolds have been the sacrifice, as you can probably see with one of these. That was a big bushy marigold, and now it is no more. I also got these ones purely because they bring a little bit of a different colour aside from the reds and oranges that we've got. Can you put one in that corner?
Yeah.
I'm nearly done with these ones. It's just going to be the ones that I've grown from seed, which we need to find homes for. The slugs won't know what have hit them.
Yeah, we still got all these to do as well.
Oh, big spider! A snail! A snail! I don't want to touch it. I'll get it in a minute.
Where is it?
On this side. Well, we know where he's going. Ew, you're going to touch it. Oh, no thanks.
Eat.
In this bed, we actually haven't put anything yet, but we seem to have a few plants of volunteer potatoes, which we've decided to just leave and see what happens with those. Because same thing happened last year, and we got a couple of good potatoes out of it. So I'm just going to work around them, put the last of the marigolds, kind of dot them around. And we've also got this, looks like a daisy, but I don't actually know what it's called. It's a perennial and it looks really nice. And then I also think that I'm planning on putting some spinach in here. So as we said, it's quite a shady spot. So when the summer gets really warm, it shouldn't bolt, because the one that I've got down there was perfect for spring, but now it's getting warm, it's starting to bolt. So we can't eat it anymore. Right, we found homes for 40 plants. We've got about 40 more to go. I'm just going to take these all out and put them in the tray. As you can see, they're super root bound. I've left them in here way too long, but just haven't had time to sort them out yet. These are a little bit smaller, so I might get attacked by slugs quicker, but whoops. But the more the merrier, so let's go. Considering how long they've been in here, they don't look that big. I've taken all the marigolds out of the seed tray, and as you can see, there's still quite a lot of spaces where some didn't germinate, and it seems to be a 50% success rate. So I was wondering if anyone had any tips on marigold growing, germination, or just trying to have a bit more success with those, because we really need them rather than spending, you know, a few quid on some from the shop. I'd much rather grow them from seed, but we're not having much luck.
Did you say we're taking the spinach out today?
If we've got time.
How do you know it's bolting?
Look here, you can see in one of them, oh,
Keep
this
it for-
one, you can see the flowers.
Right.
I don't know if you'll be
Can
able
we
to see
keep
that.
one for seed?
Yeah?
Oh, there's 3 there.
Yeah, I didn't know how to separate them, to be honest. Oh, I've squashed some onions. No. Whoops.
Do you want to do a dahlia?
Oh yeah, well, you've got the spade. It's probably easier than the fork. I'm trying to think if we've missed any. I think we're good.
Huh?
I think we haven't missed any.
You didn't put any in here, did you?
No. Oh, there's one. Missed one.
Oh, there's 1, 2 here.
What, that we've missed?
Yeah, in the corner.
Oh yeah.
Where's the spade? I'm just going to give all the newly planted flowers a good drink. And then we're going to move on to planting some more seeds. And I think that's more or less all of them.
Uh-oh.
Wow. Oh, okay, we've forgotten
3 of them.
3 of them. Okay, I'll put them in and I'll give these a good drink as well. I'm going to move on to some seeding.
Seeding?
Seeding?
Planting seeds.
Planting seeds?
I don't know.
Oh, this one's broken actually.
It'll come back to life. Before planting the seeds that I bought the other day, we're just going to get rid of some plants that didn't make the cut. So these are the round courgettes. I've got 2 outside which are looking really healthy and massive. So we've got no space for this one and the other one that's up there. I have been taking the male flowers off them because these are flowering already. So potentially if my larger courgettes need some help with pollination, I've got some in the fridge ready. And other stuff to go is aubergines that are still really tiny and quite late in the season. I've got some that are much bigger, which are already in big pots and outside, so these can go as well. I think the problem with these was the rubbish compost that we bought earlier in the year, which nearly killed off all of our baby plants. So if you look at the aubergine over here, it's been in a different compost in the greenhouse, and I mean, you can't even compare the size if you can see the difference. So this one's never going to produce fruit, so he can go. I'll be giving you a proper look around the garden in a little while so you can see how all of our plants are getting on. But first we'll do the seeds. And oh, I almost forgot. So we have been trialing these plant signs. I don't know if you'll be able to see that here. This one is one that Danny made from a copper pipe, and it's for the basil. And we've had it out in the greenhouse for maybe a couple of months now, and we've seen how it's weathered, and I think it looks really, really good in the garden now. So if any of you are interested in learning how to make one, let us know if you'd like us to do a video on them. And with it being copper, there potentially are some beneficial properties, some slug repellent. We've read a lot of people having issues with slugs, and maybe putting copper around pots or in the garden to keep them away. We don't get slugs in the greenhouse. I don't know if this is the reason why, but we'll attribute it to one of those things. Yeah, so if you're interested, then let us know if you'd like to learn how to make one. The first of the seeds that I bought last week was Swede, because we knew that they grow into the late summer and autumn, and it's a really nutritious root vegetable, which is a bit of a staple to some meals. So you can either mash it, roast it, you know, do all sorts of things with it. So I've got 100 seeds, so I'm going to put maybe 2 in each cell. And we know that these are potentially going to take place of the broccoli, which we think will be going to flower soon, because that was started back in February. And we've got a very small harvest off our broccoli, but a harvest nonetheless. And so the Swede's going to take that place, and then we need to net it, because what we didn't realise was that it's also a brassica, so those pesky cabbage white caterpillars will come and lay their eggs on it and potentially annihilate the plant overnight. So that's where this one is going. The seeds keep getting stuck to my fingers. The variety I've got here is called Best of All. So does that mean it's the best? We will find out. The next one I bought was kohlrabi, which I just thought sounded like an interesting vegetable to grow. And I think we can also grow this through the winter as well. So we've also got 100 seeds of that. So we're going to start some now, and maybe some in the winter, where there's that, I suppose, what they call the hungry gap, where things don't really tend to grow. I don't know much about growing this veg, and I actually hadn't even heard of it until I just watched a YouTube video. So apparently the kohlrabi tastes a lot like a broccoli stem, so potentially something we can use in stir fries, because we eat a lot of stir fries, or even roast it. The next seed I've got is Brussels sprout, which is probably just about the right time of the year to plant them. We're potentially too late, but we'll do our best. These ones are Evesham special, so grow in the UK, so we hope that we may get some in time for Christmas dinner, and if not, it's not a problem. Oh, these look the same as well. Maybe that's a brassica too. So what was I going to say? These are frost tolerant, and apparently after a couple of frosts it actually improves the flavour of them, which is really interesting. Next of all I've got, let's do these. Pak Choi. So Pak Choi that I sowed, I don't remember when, sometime in March or April. That one has gone to seed already because they're not great being either too hot or in the direct sun. So unfortunately I left them in the sunniest spots, so maybe they would have been better in the shade. But these ones are a summer breeze variety, so apparently they are bolt resistant in the summer, which should give us some Pak Choi throughout the summer. And what I'm going to do is spread them out a little bit more when we get them germinated, so that we can get those really big leaves for stir fries. Because I just had some small leaves which I planted quite close together and then just picked off baby leaves for stir fries. And last of all, I've got some Medania spinach, which we saw on Charles Dowding's YouTube channel, which apparently is good for the summer and the winter. This one doesn't come with many seeds, so I'm hoping to be able to save some seeds from this for next year. And so what we're going to do with this is plant it in a nice shady spot to reduce the chance of bolting, because I think I said earlier that the spinach I planted in, I think I started it in March or April. That one is starting to go to seed, I can see. So we'll start some more now and hopefully we'll have a bit of a longer growing season with this one. And the leaves look really big on this plant, so maybe a bit of a better yield than the baby leaves that I've been harvesting from the previous one. Cool, so that's the last of the seeds. I'm just going to cover them up, put some cling film on, get them in a windowsill, and then we'll get onto the garden tour. Whilst Danny's sorting those seeds out, he's putting a bit of compost over the top, going to cling film them up and then put them in a sunny windowsill. I'm going to give you a tour of the garden because a lot has changed since we last spoke, since we last saw you, since we last gave you a tour around the garden. So since I'm in the greenhouse, might as well start here. The star of the show in our greenhouse is, of course, our tomatoes. We've got 3 cherries, and then a couple of marmande, and then maybe some yellow pears. Although we were just talking the other day, we can't remember which one's which. But they have grown significantly. Here's the line that we drew before we went away to Bulgaria. And now you can see it's pretty much doubled in size. So they're looking really good. And the ones here, which I think if you can cast your minds back to maybe a February video, they were looking like they were on the edge of death. And now we've obviously planted them. We planted them nice and deep. And they've come back to life. And they're all flowering, so really looking forward to some tomatoes soon. Underneath all of the tomatoes, we've got some herbs here. Coriander, which as you can see has bolted and gone to seed, potentially because it's warm in here. We did use some for curries, but what we're going to do is save these seeds. And I think you can still use this, it's just not as strong a flavour, so we're going to leave it for now. We've also underneath got lots of basil growing, which smells absolutely amazing. And as you saw us when we cooked our pizza, it's gone on to pizza toppings already. And I've used it in pasta sauces and all sorts of things. And I've also started some more of those from seed. So we should have heaps of basil, because I know this does tend to get eaten by some pests, so I can always replace it. Alongside the basil, companion planting with the tomatoes, we've got lots of marigolds in here. So the ones that we bought today, we haven't put any more because we think we've got enough in here. And we don't find a huge amount of pests in here. Maybe that's for the reason we've got the marigolds, basil, or Danny's just eyeballed his copper sign, which might have something to do with it. I don't know. So I think that's all this side here. Oh, I chucked some lettuces in just to get that growing season started. And we've had a good month's worth of pretty good crop of lettuce. I've just been taking the outside leaves. So a leaf like this, I've been taking it off and we've been having it for lunch or dinner. On the other side, we've got 2 peppers in the ground, which are looking, I think we're getting some buds on them, so maybe some peppers. Oh, touch a spider web. And I don't know if you remember the melons that died after we came back. We've planted another one straight in the ground. Whether or not we get a melon off it, you know, we'll see what happens. It's all a learning process. A bunch of tomatoes here I tried to save, but actually I think I'm just going to ditch them in the compost and put something else in this pot. Maybe something that can go in the shade, like more lettuce or spinach or something like that. I already introduced you to my very good looking aubergine, looking super healthy, so I'm really happy with how that's looking. And alongside the aubergine we've got, is it 1, 2, 3, 4 more pepper plants, which have also, they had a really slow start to the year, but are actually starting to produce flowers. We're potentially thinking next year we could do an experiment. We've heard people pinch off the tops to make them more bushy, We didn't do that with any of these, so that could be an experiment for next year. Or if any of you have experimented with something like that, then please let us know in the comments. And this is my baby. This is a lavender that I've grown from seed, which we read was really hard to do. I can't remember if I spoke about it in a previous video. So what I did with this was the seed. You have to put the seed in the fridge for a month to make it think it's winter or something like that. So I started with 10. I've got 1 plant. So I'm very proud of my little baby lavender plant. An nasturtium, because I can always do with some of those. Yeah, I think that's it for in the greenhouse. I'm stuck. Somebody's having a nap in the 25-degree greenhouse. I don't know if you remember me planting these courgettes. We're not sure if it was 2 or 3 or more weeks ago, but they've flourished here. They look really good and are starting to produce flowers. Courgettes need about apparently 4 square feet. These have got about 3, so I think it will be enough. They are the round courgettes, so I'm looking forward to seeing what they even taste like because I've never tried them before. Put some tomatoes outside with some companions here, the marigold. I think these are the yellow pear ones. They're still quite small, so they might come along later in the season, we'll see. Under this fleece, whoops. Under this fleece here, we've got some carrots. I don't know if you remember our chaotic carrot planting. We just chucked probably about 100 seeds in. So what I've done my first thinning of, the ones that look like they're going to survive the longest, basically. And then covered them with a fleece because I've heard that, I think it's like a carrot root fly or something. At the thinning process, they smell the carrot root and then come and devour all your other carrots. So that fleece has been on since then. And then we'll do another thinning when they start to form tiny little carrots. So those can be chucked in salads and then you get the big ones finally growing. So I think it's quite a lot of work for not a lot of gain with carrots. I don't know what you guys think. And let's just go back over here to where our corn is. Oh, a bee! He's got his tongue out. Okay, sorry, I got distracted by a cool bee. So we spoke about our corn tub here, and these corns are still looking really nice and healthy. They are leaning a bit, so I'm not sure if this wasn't a sunny spot as we initially thought towards the sun, but they seem, they're doing okay so far. In between, I've planted some lettuce because I think the corn will provide a bit of shade. But we've since learned that beans might be a good option to plant in here. We've heard about the three sisters. Beans provide, nitrogen to the soil, which is great for the corn, and they also climb up the corn. And then something else that's good to plant with those two is like a squash or courgette or something, which I have done over here. So I have followed the principle slightly, although I'm a bit worried about how much space this courgette is going to take up. And then, because I had some space, there's just some spring onions, which should be ready soon, so shouldn't get too in the way. Down here, I've got my spring onions. I said, I think in a previous video, I had done a bit of an experiment. So these onions are planted just singly, one at a time, individually. And then in a separate tub, I multi-sowed about 3 to 4. And it looks like the multi-sow ones are looking a lot stronger than this one. So whether that experiment is flawed in any way, I don't know. But anyway, here I talked about the Pak Choi. As you can see, that's gone to flower. But I did pick all these baby leaves off for stir fries because I knew they weren't going to get massive. And some kale here, which I could start picking baby leaves. And interestingly, the slugs haven't touched. They love this stuff, but they don't like the kale. Probably the same as Danny. So maybe I should just plant kale everywhere as a slug deterrent. We had excess tomatoes, so we've just put them in every space we've got. So I have a feeling that both of these, the bee, are the marmand ones. On this side here has been a bit of a fail, I think, with the beans. So I direct sowed about 30, didn't get any. And then Danny soaked some overnight and then sowed them in. And we've got 4. I think that might be the slug's favourite food. So we're really trying to protect them with our mini cloches, greenhouses. But they're still getting in somehow. So we'll see how long they last. And on the other side here, I've got, what is this? A cucumber, 4 cucumbers, which are hopefully going to climb all the way up over this trellis here. So down this side, I've got some aubergines and a sunflower, which aren't doing a huge amount at the moment. Hopefully they'll grow as it starts to warm up. But the more interesting side is this side. It looks green and something is growing. And we've got our lovely wall of peas, which I've actually harvested like 10 peas. So I'm very proud of our first harvest and they taste really good. You can see through them, they're not quite ready yet. We've just got some little peas. We're still not 100% sure on when to harvest them. So I've harvested some when they're really plump, but then found out that they're still not quite ready. So that's still a bit of a guessing game for us. And coming to our strawberry towers, we've had varying success with the different varieties. So these ones, we didn't know what they were. They were just from Lidl and don't look like they're doing a lot. Cambridge favourites are starting to get little diddy strawberries on. El Santa strawberries. We've got one that looks big. Can you see the one that looks massive? So still going healthy in here. Oh, that was wet. And then Strawberry Symphony, nothing yet. So maybe these produce a bit later on. Maybe they're autumnal strawberries. Not too sure. And then we've got, I don't know if you remember the kale down here. I've got some baby leaves out of that to put in meals. And the most impressive looking plant, but it's not giving me anything, is this broccoli. So we cut the big florets off some of them because they looked like they were going to flower. But again, we don't really know when they're ready yet. So they've got lots of side shoots coming and we can't tell if they're going to flower or they're just turning into what they're supposed to. So we're just leaving them as a bit of an experiment, but they do look very impressive. The slugs have had some of the leaves, but because they're so big, it doesn't actually matter with these ones. And it's giving some nice shade to the lettuce we've got underneath. So above our volunteer potatoes and shady spot, I've had the multi-sowed, these are the white Lisbon spring onions. And as you can see, the multi-sow ones are actually looking a lot stronger. Whether it's, I don't know, there's no reason. They were grown at the same time. Last of all, volunteer potatoes. Judging by the size of the plant, I feel like there's going to be loads, but then again, there might just be one. Lovely bit of colour from our hanging basket. It's amazing to see how much life has come into our garden in the past 2 weeks now that the weather is getting a lot warmer. So join us next week whilst we get ready for summer, and also you're going to see 5 must-haves for a UK garden.